Today, for the very first time, we are going to be listening to Wintersun's Time 2. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on the channel. I am excited for this, but maybe not as much as I have been for a lot of things in the past, and the only reason for that is because I really don't know anything about Wintersun. I have seen a few videos online when I loved watching reaction videos a couple of years ago. I started to get into reaction videos during the pandemic. I saw several channels that I follow react to one of the more famous songs from Time Part 1. It was the first time I'd ever heard of the band Wintersun. And it was a live performance of theirs that was done in studio, but I believe there was some overdubs and things on it. But it was still a very interesting video to see the guys performing, and it was very well recorded. And I think it was something about Sun and the Stars, something like that. It's one of their bigger songs off of Time 1. I'm not sure if it's Time Part 1 or just Time 1. So I'm not sure if we're supposed to refer to this as Time Part 2. I don't know. But I just want to say that I don't really know very much about this band at all. I know the drummer is Kai, I believe, the newer sort of second drummer for Nightwish, their drummer that they've had for a while now, since their first drummer, Yuka, I believe his name it was, had to step aside because of some injuries and things. So I know he's in the band, and I don't really know anything else about this band. I know I have tried to sit down and listen to Time Part 1 a couple of times over the last few years, but I never make it past the first two songs, really. I think there's only a handful of songs on that album, and this album as well. And I think the mix is a little interesting. Like there's these weird dynamic moments where things feel a little bit louder than they should in the like keyboard parts. It's a little interesting and weird, but I do like what's happening a lot. And so I'm just kind of anxious to hear this. I know that this is a band that people have been really waiting for this album for a long time. Time Part 1 came out in 2012, I believe, so that's 12 years ago. I think that album is pretty highly regarded in the metal community. And I've seen this album being advertised on some of the different places I follow and whatnot. Which generally, when I'm talking about social media stuff, I really only do Facebook. So I've seen this come up a lot on Facebook over the last few months. Really, it's been quite a while that I've been seeing some ads for this. And so I just thought, when this album comes out, I'm going to do a reaction to it. We'll see what it's like. Hopefully I'll enjoy it. I know there's a lot of orchestral elements to this. I'm not sure if it was orchestral parts that were recorded, sort of similar to the way Thomas does with Nightwish, or if it's all keyboard parts that are just played on a keyboard. It really doesn't matter to me. I still think that that's very cool to have all those different layerings of different parts and things. I did like a lot of the keyboards and the piano and things that I was hearing on those first couple tracks on Time 1. And I haven't listened to any of Wintersun's other stuff. I did see in 2017 they put out a 4-song, I think they refer to it as an EP or something. Maybe they refer to it as a full album because it's quite long, but it's each of the different seasons. And I think that kind of thing is always very neat. I've always loved things like that, even going back to Vivaldi's 4 Seasons, which I think is probably one of my favorite, I think it's kind of cliche to think this, but one of my favorite classical pieces of music. I'm not a very big fan of classical music at all, though. And so I don't really know that much about it, but I did work at a recording studio for 7 years where we recorded a lot of classical music, whether that was choral music or symphonic choral music or just orchestra and symphony stuff. I got to record the Omaha Symphony performing at the Holland Performing Arts Center in Omaha, Nebraska quite a few times, and that was really nice, and it was always a great learning experience for me, working with the people who worked with them, getting to work with the musicians themselves. We had to suspend some microphones from the ceiling of the Holland, and the Holland Performing Arts Center, for those of you who don't know, is a very expensive building that was built in downtown Omaha, the sole purpose of which is to have orchestral concerts there. They do sometimes have different artists when they come through, they perform there, but usually it's only artists that perform with an orchestra or some form of sort of more acoustic based performance. The whole building is set up to be acoustically like incredible. And I've been in the building when it's completely quiet and there's no one in there, and you can literally, it's so quiet on the stage standing there that you can hear your heart beating inside of your chest. It's so quiet. It's very, very awesome. But anyway, we're here to talk about metal today. And so I haven't heard any singles from this. I haven't heard a single second of this. So I'm very excited to listen to this and just kind of see what we have. But before we get to that, I just want to say, if this is your first video on the channel, welcome to the channel. Primarily what I've been doing on this channel over the last 2 years is I and some of my friends have been going back through and listening to many different albums of all different genres of music. But specifically the thing that has sort of hit it big for us and that we were sort of unexpected but then had a lot of fun with last year and even into this year is Metallica. I had not heard any Metallica album with the exception of the Black Album until last year. So we have reactions on this channel to all of Metallica's albums. I'm very proud of all of those videos. They started off a little rocky, and we actually started with Ride the Lightning, then we did Master of Puppets and Justice for All. Then we went back and then we did, I think, 72 Seasons, because that was 72 Seasons was coming out. Then we went back and did Kill 'Em All, and then we basically went through the rest of the catalog, including Lulu, which is a hilarious, awesome video that we recorded, Death Magnetic, obviously, all that stuff. We actually reacted to And Justice for All twice. We reacted to, I think I've done Ride the Lightning twice as well with another friend of mine, Chris. So we have two Chris's on the channel that have done that with me. I also have my cousin Cody. We do a lot of different sort of like 80s reactions and sort of older stuff. We've done Beach Boys. We plan to do some Beatles. We've got a lot of fun things. We've done some Doors. We've done Devo, which is one of my cousin Cody's favorite bands. We've done a lot of different things. And then I also sit down like this myself and do reactions of new albums that I'm looking forward to. And if I have anyone that's interested in any of the friends that I have on the channel occasionally, I'll have them on. And I do think that either of the Chris's would have enjoyed listening to Wintersun with me, or at least I'm anticipating that that would have been the case. But right now, I wanted to listen to this album this weekend because the album just came out yesterday as of the day I'm filming this. And I wanted to do this as fast as possible, try to get the video edited and uploaded so that people can give it a watch when the album's new and fresh. And I couldn't line up a timeline where anyone would be able to join me over this weekend. So I thought I'll just do it myself on Saturday, and that way I'll have some time to edit it. And it's actually Labor Day, this upcoming Monday here in the United States, which is just a day that everybody has off. And this is a huge camping weekend and stuff for most people. I'm not a camper. I'm not really an outdoor person at all. But so yeah, I just want to say that if you're unfamiliar with the channel, basically what we're going to do is we're going to listen to this entire album from front to back. I'll be talking over a lot of the music, so just a warning there. Some people sometimes get a little frustrated with how much I'm talking, though when I'm by myself, I tend to talk a lot less. I do talk about what I'm hearing, though, in real time, and I tend to focus on production things. I don't focus as much on lyrics, so I don't know if this band is really known for their lyrics, and they have really great lyrics to like break down the deep meaning of them or anything, but I tend to not ever focus on lyrics. It's one of the last things I think about, actually, when I'm listening to music, especially the first time. Maybe on multiple listens, I'll get into the lyrics a little bit. And sometimes the odd artist does catch me with the lyrics, and I really do focus on that. But for the most part, lyrics are not my thing, so don't expect any crazy lyrical breakdowns or deep dives or into the meaning of the songs. I tend to focus on the music, the production, the mix, the volumes, the panning, things like that. What effects are being used? What are we hearing other than guitar, bass, drums, vocals? There'll be a lot of keyboards, orchestral elements and stuff in this, I assume. And we're going to get, I assume, hopefully lots of clean vocals, lots of distorted vocals, lots of screaming vocals, grunting vocals, stuff like that. As far as I remember, they have their vocalist has a big, wide range of vocals. So feel free to let me know in the comments any like history stuff about this band, reasons you like them, if I should go check out any of their other stuff, like their Four Seasons thing. That does look really interesting to me, and I'm always interested in when something has a very clear and specific sort of like through line. I'm assuming that time one was the first part of a story, and this is sort of time two is the continuation or maybe even conclusion of the story. But I didn't look that up. I didn't really look up anything about this band. I really don't know anything. I'm totally going in blind to this. So try not to get too frustrated with me if I say something sort of silly because I don't know anything about this band. Just remember, I don't know very much about them. But we're going to listen all the way through the album, then I'll sort of give my overall thoughts or my review at the end. That's a little bit less important, I think, than actually listening, but we'll see what ends up happening. I try to sort of summarize my thoughts at the end. So if you don't want to listen to me listen to the music at all, and you just want to skip to my overall thoughts to sort of hear what I thought, feel free to skip to the end of the video. I'll also have timestamps throughout for all the different sections of the video, so you can skip around whatever you want. And I also have to say, I don't think we'll have an issue with this. Most metal bands are pretty good with this, but I always try to upload the videos with the actual music from the album in the video. Then what usually ends up happening is the artist then if you see ads on my videos, that means all the ad revenue from the videos is going to the artist whose music is in the video. That's just how it works on YouTube. There's really no way around it. Very, very, very few artists have it set up so that their music is just free to use. It has happened. I have found artists like that before, though those are usually very small artists. And then also some artists have it so you can share a split of the revenue of videos. But Metallica has been really great to us on this channel and to anyone on YouTube. You can use any of their music you want. It's just all ad revenue from those videos that contain their music go to Metallica. And so that's how we run this channel. As of right now, I'm kind of in the process of setting up a Patreon, but we don't have to worry about that in this because I don't have that set up or anything like that. Maybe in the future I will. So if you subscribe, that may be something you can do if you really like the content in the future. But for now, don't worry about that. I will shout out and say we have a Discord channel, and I really enjoy that. We all try to be a little active on it, all of the sort of hosts on this channel here. But really, it's become a really awesome metal community, and specifically a metal community at the moment based around Metallica. But I want to try to get some different bands that we do more stuff from in the future, have some fans of those bands come in. We recently did Megadeth for the first time, so we've got some new fans of Megadeth on the channel, though I think most people who enjoy Megadeth probably also enjoy Metallica. But I want to try to get some Nightwish fans and some symphonic metal fans. I recently did a reaction to Simone Simon's solo album, and we also have Charlotte Wessels, the lady that sang, the former singer for Delane. She has a new album coming out, a solo album. I'm very excited for that because I really enjoyed her last album. Actually, it was a double album, her series of EPs that she released as a double album. A couple of years ago. I really enjoyed that album, so I'm really excited for her new album. Plus, we have new Nightwish on September 20th. It's a huge album, probably the biggest release of the year for me in terms of what I'm looking forward to. Just yesterday, we had new AWOL Nation, this album, and new Leprous came out, so I'm very much looking forward to listening to the Leprous album, and I was really fighting with myself over which one I wanted to prioritize, Wintersun or Leprous, and I'm choosing to prioritize Wintersun, but I think I will probably still film the Leprous video tomorrow and hope I have enough time to edit the Wintersun video to get it out as soon as possible, and then try to edit the Leprous and AWOL Nation videos on the side as soon as I can. There's a lot of good stuff coming out also. New Oceans of Slumber album. I love their last album. New Pure Reason Revolution album. I loved that. Their last couple albums as well. And just a lot of other new stuff coming out. New Poppy, eventually new Bones album, Bones UK album coming out soon in September. September is going to be a huge month. And I honestly think October and November are going to be huge too. It always seems like the last quarter of the year, really all the big artists that I care about release albums. And there's a lot of good stuff coming out this year. But for this video, we're going to be focusing on Wintersun, and because I don't have very much to say about them, we don't need to spend very much time talking about them. I basically explained everything I know about this band, and so we can just jump right into the album. But before we do that, I want to do one more thing. Look right here on the table, and I will be right back in 1 second. Hold on. So you may be asking yourself, while I open this Mountain Dew Liberty Chill, and actually I should explain too, I have in my glass here this is red. It looks, everything that's red, for whatever reason with this camera, everything that's red looks like the record on the wall behind me here, Marty Robbins' Famous Gunfighter Ballads, one of my favorite albums of all time. That looks orange to me in the video. It looks a little red. It certainly looks redder than like this Godzilla thing down here, which is bright red for me in real life. But anyway, whatever, who cares? This is red in real life, but it looks orange to you guys, at least unless I mess with the colors after this. But this is a mixture of lemonade and some red Shasta. Shasta diet sugar or diet pop that I had when I was during the Simone Simons video I recorded a while ago. So that's, people sometimes ask what's in my glass. So that's just ice. It's frozen in the bottom. So I pour my pop over the top of it, and then over time that will melt, and it will just add to the flavor of it. But what I was going to say is, you may be wondering why I'm wearing a hat. If you've been a follower of my channel, you'll know that I basically hate wearing hats. However, you will also know that this year I was diagnosed with leukemia, and I have been battling cancer for the last 9 months now. And I think finally what's happening is my hair is getting so thin that I just absolutely hate the way it looks. And I can absolutely say, looking at the video here, that I despise my facial hair right now. It just is, right now, as I just did that little, you can't see that, but as I just do this, like, hair comes out. So I think I'm going to have to shave my facial hair off, and I don't know what's going to happen with my hair on my head, but I think it may be finally happening that I am losing my hair, which is a huge bummer to me because I want a nice head of hair more than anything in the whole world, and ever since I was little, I've always wanted to have long hair, and I was never able to do it. And so anyway, I don't want this to be a sad, sob, ridiculous story. Don't feel sorry for me. Everything's been going great with the chemotherapy. I've had a couple of really bad weeks the last few weeks with some different medications that I've been getting. However, I feel much better now, and everything is going good and on the right track again. So don't feel bad for me. However, I have been hating my hair, so I thought I was going to wear a hat in this video, and I decided I was going to wear my Starks hat, right? Because Wintersun is coming. There. Look at my hair. Look how terrible it looks. It's so thin. It's so thin. It looks just absolutely horrendous. I'm just so scared to shave my head because I think if I do, it will literally never come back, any of it, ever. And I probably should have shaved my head many years ago, but I've always thought to myself, I'd rather have bad-looking, messy hair than no hair at all. Nothing against bald people, of course, but I just don't want to be bald. Anyway, I know you don't care, but I just kind of wanted to explain to the people who may be following me. I understand my facial hair doesn't look very good right now. I may have to shave this off because it just looks so bad. I hate patchy facial hair. I've always hated it on people. And I've always had very thick facial hair, so this is a real bummer to me. But I hate the way it looks. It looks so patchy. It looks terrible down here. Really bad. It's not because I shaved it stupid or anything either. It just, I don't know. Anyway, sorry to be a Debbie Downer. Time 2. By Wintersun, 2024. Just came out August 30th, 2024. Today, as I'm recording this, we're at August 31st. This is 6 songs, 48 minutes long. We have a 4-minute song, 10-minute long song, 6 minutes, 2:21, so I'm assuming Ominous Clouds is sort of an interlude. Then Storm, which is 12 minutes, 15 seconds. And Silver Leaves, which is 13 minutes and 30 seconds. So we have 3 songs that are over 10 minutes. So that's great. Just yesterday, I recorded my reaction to the new AWOL Nation album, which had 10 songs, 2 of which were less than 2.5 minutes long, most of which were around between 3 and 4 minutes, basically. So there were 7 good full-length songs on the album, one of which faded out, or 8, I guess, one of which faded out. I cannot stand fade-outs. If this band does a fade-out, then I'm sorry, they're terrible songwriters, they're lazy songwriters. There's literally no good excuse for fading out, but I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. Bands like this that write long songs generally tend to care more, I feel, about the way the songs flow from one to the next. At least I hope so. So I don't think we're going to get any lazy songwriting and lazy song finishing. But let's start off the album, Fields of Snow, in 3, 2, 1. All right. Oh. This says, following the departure in 2002 from Finnish Viking metal outfit Ensephirum, former Artemisia vocalist and multi-instrumentalist Jari Mäenpää. So I'm so sorry. That is really hard. I have no clue how to pronounce that. But they're Finnish, which is cool. So just like Nightwish. Started a new project called Wintersun with drummer Kai Hato. Late of grindcore band Rotten Sound. Interesting. Okay, sorry. This is Amorphous, Finn Troll. They're on Nuclear Blast. Awesome. All awesome stuff. That's as of 2012, it looks like. Okay. I like that percussive element in the middle there. We have strings off to the right, some piano to the left, and also in the middle a little. I think the source of the piano is on the left. Oh, cool. That is, oh shoot, what is that instrument called? I feel like it's a very Japanese instrument. I hope that's not incorrect, but that makes me think of some of the anime soundtracks I've heard, like period piece anime. I don't know what that is called. It's probably a patch on a keyboard. But maybe not. Could be that actual instrument being played by someone. Very cool regardless. So maybe this is just sort of an interlude to the first track. Oh, I love those synth sounds. Very cool. I really like the mixture of those very clearly electronic sounds with that sort of more organic acoustic sounding. I still think it might be played on a keyboard, but that lead instrument. And it might be doubled with a synth as well. Awesome low frequency. The strings sound really nice. I'm not sure if they're real strings. It sounds pretty real. Very close mic'd strings. You really hear the bow. I like this. I did hear a little bit of things that sounded like this, that lead instrument, that I don't know what the name of it is. I did hear a little bit of that choir on Time 1, the bit that I heard of Time 1. I tried listening to Time 1 again the other day, and I kind of fell asleep while I was listening to it, so I heard bits and pieces here and there, and subconsciously maybe some of it. Uh-oh, the ice lifted from the bottom. Okay, here we go. Acoustic guitar. Either there's some interesting delays happening, pretty long delays, or there's multiple tracks of acoustic guitar strumming. Is that a kick drum? Like a double bass kick? Where's the snare? Or is that a really dry snare with the kick? Right? No, I feel like that's just the kick, and he's doing a little bit more intricate. I do like the way that kick sounds. Vocals are a little low in the mix. The guitars, I feel, are about equal volume with all the other things happening, and it's all very wide. Love that crazy big reverb there on the vocals. I like the vocals. I don't listen to a lot of metal bands where guys sing like this. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Necrogoblicon. That's my sort of... vocals spread wide. Multiple takes, spread wide, nothing in the middle. Okay, you can obviously hear the difference between the snare and the kick now, but man, at the beginning of the song, I don't know, I think it was kind of everything together. That snare is very dry, very short, very snappy, but also not very much, not a lot of high frequencies, not a lot of snare rattle at all. The vocals are definitely too low. You really have to reach inside the music to try to pull the vocals out and hear what they're saying. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard at all, but it's definitely too low. Like here, I can't hear what he's saying. The talking part. And there's a lot of things happening. A lot of things happening. It's kind of hard to distinguish between what the guitars are doing and what everything else is doing. It is assaulting. Okay. Wow. So now all the rhythm guitars are gone, which allows the guitar solo to sit on top of everything a little bit. Is there only one guitar player in this band? Maybe there is. Very good solos. I feel like the solos are louder than the lead vocals. You should always have the solo instrumentation as loud as the lead vocals. Love the kick sound. And you know, I just want to... So here we have multiple vocal things happening at once. We have sort of a background gang vocal part and then the lead vocal in the middle. Check, check, check. ass picking. That kick is massive. I like the vocals a lot. I wish they were loud enough to hear. Oh yeah, that's cool. More guitar solo. So here, oh wow. So here we have solo with rhythm guitar back behind it. Wow. Woo! Nice little keyboardy part there. I could definitely do with some keyboard solos. I've been listening to a lot of Children of Bodom recently. I want one of the Chris's to react to Children of Bodom, who's never really listened to him before. I actually think this sounds really good. Wow. It sounds like real strings and stuff, but also it doesn't at the same time. But there's a lot of parts going on, so if it was just the keyboard player that came up with this, there's a lot of layers to make it sound like a full orchestra, and that it just is amazing. Very cool. Yeah. This is fun. This is very epic. I never listen to anything that I would consider to be sort of like power metal, but I imagine it would sound like this, but with the guy with the annoying voice over the top of it. Not this guy. This guy has a good voice. I like all the different ways that he screams, sings. I just wish it was louder in the mix. Wow, so epic. Wow, so epic. That was great. Okay, so here's a shorter song. That was great. I really enjoyed that a lot, but I just wish the vocals were up higher. I feel like the distorted, the shouty, distorted screaming vocals were a little bit more present in the mix, and that tells me that the vocalist is probably the one who is choosing how loud they are, and a lot of metal vocalists feel self-conscious, especially when they're singing. And maybe that sounds totally silly, because this guy and all these guys are probably veterans in the music industry, but it doesn't matter how old you are. If you give a vocalist, a metal vocalist in general, unless they have huge egos, You give a metal vocalist the choice of how loud their vocals are going to be, they're going to bury it inside the mix, especially if they are also the guitar player for the band. They want their guitars to shine and they don't even care about the vocals. That's just from what I've observed. I really do think that it is an orchestra that was recorded. And that kick is massive. And I do like the snare as well. It doesn't sound very snary. It almost sounds similar to the way the kick sounds. Very, punchy, but it works. I wonder how similar the drums on Nightwish's new album will sound to this. Same thing, vocals double-tracked, maybe more panned wide, no vocals in the middle right now. Some gang vocals or choir vocals over the top of it too. Vocals in the middle. So epic. The guitars sound great. Guitar solo? Nope, okay. Doubled, spread wide. Distorted rhythm guitars are gone. There's acoustic guitar in there now. I feel like the solo's a little low. It's about the volume of the vocals, which is where it should be, but both things should be brought up in the mix a little bit. It just got louder there. Maybe that's a mastering thing. Rhythm guitars are back. Really like this, the tone of the solo guitar. Very clear, very crisp, but not shrill at all. Cool riff to solo over. A more complex riff, so the solo's not that complex right now. Vocal spread wide. No vocals in the middle. Two vocal parts overlapping each other. He has a very gargly, screaming vocal. Not saying that's a negative thing. Definitely sounds heavy. Here's vocals in the middle and spread wide. There were some transients in his vocals there that didn't line up quite perfectly. You heard that little... little bit of In Flames in the vocals. Old school In Flames. Nice. Okay, right into Ominous Clouds. I'm assuming this will be a little instrumental part. Very nice. Pretty dry guitar, not too much distortion, which is why it sounds like that. Very cool. Very spanky sounding. It's a neat sound. I like those sort of trickly things in the synths there. Rain. I like the sound effects. Oh, this is cool. I love all the synths. I love all the synths. And I like the contrast of the sort of beautiful, lush instrumentation and everything you're hearing. And then you have the pingy sort of rain, and then the very spanky sounding guitar. Ooh, I love that. All right, we're coming up onto Storm, which has the most plays. I can see the plays here. It has 70,642 plays as of right now. And then the final track, Silver Leaves, has only 38,411. So here's Storm. The rain is continuing. To me, this is very In Flames, sort of sounding guitar tone there. I love this. The way that transition, that was very cool. Keeping that same guitar tone, it's panned the same place it was in the mix. Just starting right into the riff of the opening riff of this song. Piano, awesome. Very cool. Very pretty. I like that. Slowing down, very nice. A little retardando here. Yeah, let's go. A little thunder right in the perfect moment there. Cool. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Love the stabs of the choir stabs on the keyboard. Unless those are real choir vocals. Vocals seem maybe a touch louder. Nice tom work there on the drums. Very assaulting, right? Just very fast, constantly. Really interesting piano stuff being done there. Pretty far in the background, though. You can tell it's happening, though. Way too quiet, the vocals here. Yeah. Yeah. Love this riff. Yeah, here we go. Oh, cool, yes. Man, that sweeping is nuts. This song is awesome. Really fast. Oh boy. Hit the thunder is awesome too. The stabs. I was going to ask earlier, I wonder how they are going to tour at the same time as Nightwish, both releasing albums basically in the same month. Are Nightwish just going to tour with Wintersun and Kai's just going to play for 3 hours? You know, how are they going to do that? Wow. Oh gosh, we needed a break, right? That was 7 minutes of or that was basically 6 minutes of just barrage. I love the continuation of the rain and the thunder. That's very cool. I would in their shows. I would love it if this song was dark and there was like lightning during parts, and you could see clouds on a big screen behind them and stuff. That would be so cool. And I love acoustic interludes in the middle of songs and stuff like this. It's always very cool. Yeah. Give me a melodic solo. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Love that you can still hear the acoustic guitars. Oh, yeah, the drums there with the solo, yes. Oh, I love that. Oh, I think that's kind of jazzy solo. It's hard for me to tell different styles, stuff like that, but very cool. Yeah. Oh. That was epic. That was very cool section there. That was really neat. Now they need to hit us again for like another last two and a half minutes of this song or whatever. Don't just be rain for 3 minutes here. Don't do that to me. Give me a piano interlude. Do something. Don't just make it rain for 3 minutes. Don't do that. That's not cool. Okay, there's some synths coming in. Maybe I can think of this as the intro to the next song, I guess. It would have been nice to have this on a separate track. Unless this is all just part of it. Still got about a little less than 2 minutes to go, so. Harp. Or harp patch on a keyboard. I like the belly type sounding things we're hearing off to the side. Aha! We're back to that empty field of snow. Okay, Silver Leaves, here we go, right now. That transition could have been done a few seconds later, and I feel like it would have been better. From one track to the next. Alright, you better impress me with this, because so far I'm feeling like this album is... The length of this album is very deceptive. Dun 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 dun. I'm expecting that at any moment. This is cool. It's all very cinematic, right? I do like all of this. I wonder what their influence for this was. So it took it 2 minutes and 50 seconds to kind of kick into the metal. Now, I'm not saying that the song didn't start till just then. It was very neat leading up to that, but... vocals too low. But you clearly hear them though, that's nice. They're doing the same melody they've been playing for a little while there on all those different instruments. Very neat. wide vocals, double tracked, spread wide. I don't know how I feel about this because I do generally enjoy slower metal stuff like this. I like the vocal layering here. I just think because the vocals are a little too low, in this song in particular, they're kind of egregiously low because because of the lack of all this other, the intensity, you can hear what's happening a little bit more, but they should still be louder. And because of that, the things I'm hearing most prominently, like the kick and the snare and then the guitars, they're not doing really anything interesting, right? It is neat to hear that the other instrument, like the orchestral elements, the keyboards and stuff, but they're not a focal point. There is some like clangy sort of bell type things happening along with the cymbals. But I think if I'm being honest, I think this is a little bit boring. Hey, this isn't in English. That's cool. I wonder if it's in Finnish. That's really awesome if it is. I mean, it's cool. The guitar's kind of doing what the different instrumentation was doing at the beginning of this song. It definitely feels like it's building here. Okay. I do like those different type things. That's a very cool sound. It has like a little like lift-off sound, which is very neat. A little twist at the end of the notes. Very cool. Now, are they just going to mess around like this for 3 minutes? I think that kind of sounds like wind more so than rain. Maybe ocean? I live in the middle of Nebraska, which is right in the middle of the United States, basically as far from oceans as possible. So I'm not too up to date on what the ocean sounds like. I would say that could be the ocean. It's not rain. It could also just be kind of wind. I think it sounds like water, though. And I can hear some like wind chimes and stuff in there. So that was over really about the 11-minute mark. Is this just going to continue here? It is. Okay, so first thing I want to do is some math here, because I feel like I was misled into how long this album actually is. So bear with me for a second. I'll probably cut this out while I'm trying to do my math, and then I'll explain to you what I'm doing here. Okay, so I have pulled up a time calculator on my, hold on, can you see this? Pulled up a time calculator on my phone. And what we're going to do here is we're going to try to calculate the amount of minutes this album actually has music in it that you would expect to hear. Like, I do think, well, I'll get to that when I get to it. So the first track is an intro track. Now, it's obviously music. It's orchestral. It's interesting. It's setting it up. It's creating atmosphere. It's the beginning of the story. However, that's not what I come here to listen to this for. If you're a metal band and you are a fast metal band, that's what I'm here for, right? So I do appreciate those things, and I do consider that to be a valid part of the album. But I want to calculate the amount of metal that we're hearing on this album. So the first track, those 4 minutes and 5 seconds, gone. So let's take the 10 minutes and 8 seconds. So we're going to go 10 minutes and 8 seconds. And we're going to add 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Now, I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember exactly if if track 3, One with the Shadows, was a full track, but I think it pretty much was. So we're going to add 6 minutes and 18 seconds. 6 minutes and 18 seconds. That equals 16 minutes and 25 seconds. So, see, I don't have anything to write with. We'll bring out the fade outs board, and I'll write this on here. So I'm going to get rid of the checks we have on there, none for this album. So 16:25. 16 minutes, 25 seconds. Now, Ominous Clouds was very cool, but it was a transition track, right? I liked it. I thought it was cool, but it was a transition track. Then we go into Storm, which ended around the 9-minute mark. We'll say 9 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. So let's take 16 minutes and 25 seconds. And we're going to add to that 9 minutes and 30 seconds. 9 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay. That equals 25 minutes and 55 seconds. 25 minutes and 55 seconds. Now, let's clear it. Okay, so then we get to Silver Leaves, right? So Silver Leaves, I believe, starts around the like 2 minute. Now, again, all this intro stuff, it's very cool. It's the intro to the song. It's setting it up. But I just want to calculate how much metal we're getting here. So 2 minutes and 40 seconds roughly. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it starts around 2:30. Okay, so we'll say 2:30. Now, where does the metal end? Right around the 10-minute mark, we'll say. And then they continue, and so we'll go to 11 minutes. And then at this point we'll say, actually we'll give them to 11:30. We'll be very generous with this. So let me see here. What is, shoot, how would we calculate that? Okay, we'll go 11 minutes and 30 seconds. And we'll subtract 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So that gives us, 9 minutes exactly. So we'll add 9 minutes to 25 minutes and 55 seconds. So let's clear 25 minutes and 55 seconds. Obviously, and I should be able, I could do this obviously in my head, but I'm dumb. So 25 minutes, 55 seconds plus 9 minutes. 34 minutes and 55 seconds. So, 34 minutes and 55 seconds. So, this album, they're telling us, is 48 minutes and 40 seconds. So, let's take 48 minutes and 40 seconds. And let's subtract 34 minutes and 55 seconds. 13 minutes and 45 seconds. Okay. Now, okay. Again, I want to say, I do think that everything that's on this album is valid. And I think that it is setting up atmosphere. It is hard to make orchestral sounding things. It's hard to write a score. It's hard to do all of those things. It was very well recorded here. It sounds great. However, when you're a metal band, and I expected to hear more metal here than I did, when you're telling me your album is 48 minutes and 40 seconds long, I think that's what it was, and of that, 13 minutes and 45 seconds are what I would consider to be waiting to get to the next metal part, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of extraneous material. It's a lot of waiting to get to what you want to hear. 34 minutes and 55 seconds can be a full-length album. That is about as long. That's shorter, I think, even than the AWOL Nation album I just reacted to. And it's shorter, I think, than the One Republic album I reacted to. However, with the length of these songs, the Way of the Fire is 10 minutes and 8 seconds long. You can fit 3 One Republic songs in that time. Now, I'm not saying that One Republic is better than this. I'm not saying this is better than One Republic. I'm just saying, if you would have asked me, I would have said, I will take a 10-minute long song over 3 3-minute long songs any day. However, the overall feeling that I'm left with after listening to this is that was felt very short. So to me, The Way of the Fire felt like one song. And maybe I guess this is me just sort of discovering this about myself now. So that's why I'm thinking about this so much. But like, they have 6 tracks on this album, 2 of which you can throw away: Fields of Snow and Ominous Clouds. I do think Ominous Clouds was really cool. And I don't think, when I say throw away, I don't mean it's worthless. I just mean that I would probably skip those tracks if I was listening to this, trying to listen to this album. And I think you understand what I'm saying. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trashing those, but that is a completely different genre of music in its entirety, basically. And I like that kind of thing. I like it when you mix all sorts of genres together. But I feel like at the end of the day, it's just too much of that with too little metal. So then you get into The Way of the Fire, 10 minutes long. I enjoyed that song. I thought it was great. I think this whole album would be, like, if I was to give it a number, let's just say between 1 and 10. I don't know what I would give it, but it would be a whole number or 2 above what I would label it if the vocals were the proper volume. That is definitely my biggest negative thing I can say about this album. My biggest problem with this album, the clean vocals especially, were too low. I think that it was actually below the threshold of acceptable, which means that it was a bad choice to have the vocals that loud. Someone's trying to hide the vocals inside of the mix. And I feel like the vocals were definitely performed well enough that they could have just been brought up in the mix. And I don't think that it would have sounded bad. I think it would have just sounded better overall completely. The mix would have been much more balanced, and I think that I would have enjoyed it a lot more personally. So I'll just say that across the board, the vocals should be up. I think the heavy vocals were closer to the proper volume than the clean vocals, and unfortunately with metal, that is not an uncommon occurrence, especially with extreme metal stuff, which I don't know if I would necessarily calculate this as extreme. Basically, there were 4 songs on this album, 3 of which were fast metal songs. The last track was much slower, and I enjoyed the 3 faster songs more. One with the Shadows is 6 minutes. Storm is 12 minutes, but it was actually 9.5, like I said. And Way of the Fire is 10 minutes. Then Silver Leaves is about 9.5 or so itself. And I thought Silver Leaves was a little bit boring. And generally, I'm the type of person that listens to slower metal than what the other 3 songs were. But in this case, I thought that the things that the mix really accentuated well was the rhythm section, the rhythm guitars, the riffs, the rhythm section, the bass, the rhythm guitars, and the drums especially sounded really great the whole album, I thought. And so when you have a band that's fast, that's intense, that has really cool riffs with really nice guitar solos, when that stuff is happening and it's fast, I felt like the mix was really great for that. The moment the vocals came in, it was too low, so that was a little disappointing. And then in the last track was mixed the same way the fast songs were, and I feel like it should have been approached a little differently. And because of that, the mix didn't really accentuate any of the positives of the slow song. It was still set up to accentuate the fast parts, of which there were none in Silver Leaves. So I think that song was disappointing to me, and overall I would say it was a little boring, even though, like I said, I feel like I have to add that little caveat in there of that's probably closer to my style of metal than Way of the Fire and One with the Shadows, and Storm. So so I really enjoyed those 3 songs a lot more than Silver Leaves. I think Ominous Clouds was a very interesting track, and I liked it in there, and I would include that 2 minutes, 21 seconds probably in my total length here, but I was just trying to calculate when we were hearing metal and how much of the album wasn't that. And so I've already kind of gone through that math. But again, I think 13 minutes and 45 seconds of not what we're here to listen to is too much. You know, I think maybe a better way to say it would be, I don't mind 13 minutes and 45 seconds of that, but I think if you're going to have that much, there needs to be more than 34 minutes and 55 seconds of metal. It's an off-kilter balance there. It's definitely twice as much metal. However, it's not too much more than twice as much metal. We should have had 50 minutes of metal and 13 minutes of, and I don't know that much about this band. Like I said, they haven't released, their last album was the Four Seasons thing. I don't remember what it's called, in 2017. So that's, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25. That's 7 years ago. And before that, in 2012, which is 12 years ago from now, was the first part of this 2-album part, I guess, or series or whatever. So, that's a long time to wait for people who have been fans of this band. And with all that time, with COVID, a lot of bands went to the studio and recorded stuff during COVID. And I'm not saying that you had to or anything like that. I don't know if these guys, I assume these guys are probably all in other bands who have been doing a lot of other things over the years. And so this is probably a side project, maybe even a side to a side project for them. But I feel like that it was too short, is what I'm saying. Now, I find that to be very interesting because we did get, 10 minutes of metal, 6 minutes of metal, 9 minutes of metal, and essentially 10-ish minutes of metal. And that should be enough. 34 minutes should be enough. That's just as long as the longest Children of Bodom album, really. Children of Bodom, right? I mentioned them earlier, and I don't feel like they're super comparable to this, but I don't listen to a ton of fast metal where the focus is kind of the solos, which that's definitely the focus of what we're getting here, because and they're telling you that in the way they mixed this album. They cared more about the solos than the vocals based on how loud those elements were in the mix. So that's what they're telling us as the listening to this. The band is telling us that. And I did really enjoy the solo sections. I was impressed. I'm not generally very impressed with just sweeping constantly. I hate guitar solos that are just super fast sweeping, and I just don't like that. Generally, I much prefer a more melodic solo. But they did that as well, and I really do feel like the instrumentation to back up the solos was great. I especially noticed during the Storm section at the end of the song that the solo was really, the drum, I don't know which came first, I assume the drums, but the solo and the drums were really accentuating each other. I think that would be how you say that. They were accenting each other with what they were playing, and that was really nice to hear. But then all the fast solos were great too, so I really enjoyed that stuff. And so when I say Children of Bodom, I guess that's why I'm thinking of them. They're fast, they have a lot of keyboards, though they don't do any of the orchestral keyboard layering or anything like this. It's just whatever they play on the keyboards is just one layering of keyboards, basically. There's a few different things that they layer sometimes, but they're more about reproducing it live accurately without having a lot of tracks and things. But their songs are all very short because they're basically very fast and they attack you the entire time. So they have songs that are, they're not super short. They're not like One Republic length short. They're not 2 minutes long, but they are to the point. They're fast, to the point, and then they're done. There's no long breaks in the middle of them or anything like that. So this to me is a lot more artistic, but when I listen to a Children of Bodom album, I feel fulfilled at the end of it. And when I listened to this, I did not get that feeling. I just felt like there was a lot of waiting to get to the next cool part. And then when it got there, there was more waiting within the songs and at the ends of the songs. And it's almost hard for me to say that because I really do appreciate the artistic merit to having the songs have this story going along with it, even though I wasn't really following along because I couldn't really hear what the lyrics were at all in terms of following any sort of a story. And I think everything was kind of abstract anyway. What you could hear was pretty abstract. I don't think that they're necessarily trying to tell a story beat for beat or anything like that. I don't think it's supposed to be super obvious, but it's very artistic. And I do appreciate all of those things. But I think the balance was off in terms of the metal and everything else. I do think everything else was done really great. The keyboards all sounded great. It was hard for me to tell what was real, what was keyboard. If you told me this entire thing, there was no real orchestra, no real instruments being played, like other than guitar, bass, drums, vocals, and then like piano, keyboard, which I assume all the piano sounds were just on an electric keyboard. If you told me that, I would believe you. But if you also said that there was orchestra the whole time during every song, I would believe that as well, because there definitely was things happening on the sides of during every song. It felt very big. The mix was done really well in that regard, I think. But I just feel disappointed listening to this because I really liked what was happening during a lot of parts, but then it felt like I was just waiting for the next part that I really would enjoy. And I feel like the mix was telling us what we were supposed to enjoy because of how low and how loud and how quiet certain elements of the mix were. And I've already kind of explained that, so I don't need to go over that again. But I really think that parts of this were done so well. I really do like the way the drums sounded. I really do like the way the guitars sounded. I don't think I noticed the bass ever playing once the entire time. I certainly never heard the bass doing something where it stood out at all. But a lot of metal bands are like that. The bass is not necessarily meant to ever be a focal point. And I really wasn't listening for it specifically. So I think the bass in this case was just being the low frequencies in the song. I'm sure based on how complex everything was that was being played, it was probably difficult to play, and it was probably, their bass player is probably fantastic, but none of that stood out to me at all the whole time. But it never sounded bad at all, so they always, sometimes you hear people say, like, the best thing is when you don't notice the playing because it just sounds natural and sounds like it should, so that's one good thing about it, I guess. And I was not ever focusing on it I want to point that out and make that clear. Like, I wasn't focusing on the bass. And if I was, maybe I would have noticed it a lot more, but I was just thinking about all the other things. The mix was very busy at times, but I do feel like it handled that pretty well. There was a lot of elements that had just no low frequency in them whatsoever because the lows were being handled by other things. And so there was lots of sound effects. Like, I love the Storm sound effects and all that stuff, but to have a song called Storm that's 12 minutes long and have over 3 minutes of just sound effect Storm in there at the little bit at the beginning and a lot of it at the end, it's just too much. You should need to have that stuff on separate tracks, in my opinion. But I also understand the artistic merit of having all of it on one track. I do feel like when the tracks skipped, or when the track changed to the next track at sometimes, it was at an odd time and happened before it should have, where the break would be like if you skip on a CD to the next track, or on Spotify or whatever you're listening to the next track, you're still hearing lingering thoughts from the track before it, while there still could be a few seconds before the next thing starts. So that was not done very well, in my opinion, and that's a mastering thing. That's when they decided to cut the tracks during mastering. So I do feel like there were things done here that I just don't agree with. I do, like I said, the mix I think was objectively, the vocals were too quiet, objectively too quiet, to the point where it was wrong to make that decision to have them be that quiet. So, yeah. But I like what I was hearing when I was hearing what I was expecting to hear, which is, that's on me. I shouldn't have expected been expecting anything. I'd been open to anything. But I was expecting it to be metal, and I was expecting it to be relatively intense, and maybe with moments that weren't as intense. And instead, what I got were very long, intense moments, and then a very long, non-intense metal song that I feel like, I've already explained this, that the mix was not suited for that. So, yeah, I've got to say, I think overall I'm disappointed with it. 34 minutes, 55 seconds, the last 9 minutes of which I didn't care for very much. So you can subtract that to make it the 25-55. And so I guess really I enjoyed 25 minutes and 55 seconds of this. Now, again, that could be I didn't write down every number, so that math might be wrong. But again, I do enjoy all of those other elements. I just feel like it could have been incorporated, the metal and the non-metal parts could have been incorporated together a little bit more. But it's not my vision, and I hate when I do my sort of review section, I talk about what I want the album to be rather than what it is. I try to focus on what it is and try to be as objective as possible, within reason, of course. And obviously, some of my opinions are just my opinions and based on my musical taste and everything. And that's not subjective. That's not objective. That is subjective. But I try to give specific reasons that are objective for why I do and don't like things. And so hopefully you kind of understand where I'm coming from. And I don't know. So let me know in the comments how you feel about this. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. 100% fine. It is just my opinion at the end of the day. And I'm just some nobody, So let me know what you think. Let me know if I should check out some of their other work. Let me know if I should check out other bands these guys are in based on what I've explained, what I've complained about, and what I liked here. Let me know. So, yeah. I think we can end the video there. I think I had a lot of fun listening to this. I think this is a good conversation I've had with you all. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if this will be a surprise for anyone. I haven't really talked about wanting to do this throughout the year, so maybe I'll catch some of the people on the Discord off guard with this reaction, and hopefully some people will be pleasantly surprised that I reacted to this. Part of me wishes that Chris Schoenberg, President Chris, was here, because I think he would have enjoyed the more metal aspects of this. Obviously, the technical guitar playing is something I think he would have really appreciated. But I don't know how he would have felt about all of the other elements that weren't guitar, bass, drums, vocals, all the orchestral stuff and keyboard stuff. And I don't know how he would have felt about the singing part. So I think he would have probably not enjoyed that. Whereas I think Chris Parker would have enjoyed those things a lot and not enjoyed the harsh vocals at all. Not that he doesn't enjoy harsh vocals, but I think most of the bands that he listens to with harsh vocals, they are a very different style of harsh vocals. This is very much like pure metal, death metal, I guess, harsh vocals. And so it would have been interesting to have either of them here doing this reaction with me, but like I said at the beginning, we couldn't do it, so we'll see what ends up happening. I will say that Storm song. Also, I guess I should point out just very briefly, I am very much a stickler for song structuring. I like to have songs come back to the chorus. They did clearly sort of have choruses in these songs, but for example, like that Storm song, which is my favorite track on the album, the last third of the song was completely different than the first part. So it did feel very progressive in that regard, and I enjoyed it. I did enjoy that. I didn't hate the fact that it didn't come back to a chorus, or that it didn't do what I necessarily wanted it to do or follow the roadmap that I wanted it to follow. I enjoyed what it did on that song a lot, and then I was disappointed by the last few minutes of the track as just being the Storm sound effects. I didn't care for that. And I've explained that a bunch already. But I really enjoyed that last part of the song, and I really enjoyed the first part of the song as well. I really liked a lot of the guitar riffs. I really liked the intensity. I loved the way the guitars and the drums sounded together, and I suppose the bass, though I didn't really notice that, like I said. But I really enjoyed the way the metal parts all worked together. I think it was mixed very well. But it was everything else that kind of created issues. So thank you very much for watching. We've got a lot of stuff coming out here on the channel. I mentioned it at the beginning, so I'm not going to repeat it here. I've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. I promise we'll be doing more Metallica stuff. A lot of people keep sending me, please do Disc 2, please do Symphony of Metallica. Once we do those two things, we will have done all the Metallica music. I think that's out there pretty much. I'd like to do some covers. Then I'd like to do some live performance stuff. So there's other things I want to do with Metallica, but I also want to focus on other bands as well. We're going to do more Megadeth. We're going to do Slayer. We're going to do Pantera. We're going to do, I think, what was the other band people mentioned? Testament. People mentioned a bunch of times if we wanted to do some more sort of old school thrash that's good. I want to do Ghost. I want to do Tool, especially. I really want to get into Tool. I want to focus a lot of time on Tool once we get there, as long as we can use the music in the videos. So there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of great albums coming out too. I mentioned all that stuff at the beginning of the video. So we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up on the channel. Link to the Discord will be in there if you want to know kind of what's coming up and just converse with us. Let me know what I should do and the other guys on the channel. and the other people who've been following us. We have a really nice, wonderful community there that's still small enough. We all know each other by name and stuff, and our names on there. It's absolutely a great place. So the Discord is a great community we're slowly building. So if that sounds interesting to you, please check that out. If you like the format of these videos and you want to see any of the stuff I mentioned coming up, or go back into any of our backlogs and watch any of our many, many videos we've released over the last few years, check that out. Think about subscribing. We appreciate anything you can do. Liking the videos really helps. Things like that are silly, and people say it in every video, but it honestly really does help. It gets our videos in the algorithm so other people see it, and obviously the more people see the videos, the more people have a chance to try to join the community and watch the videos and all that stuff. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day, to try for people to have fun along with us. We want to try to doing live stuff coming up so that we can have more involvement in everything. It's just that we're still such a small community. If only 5 people show up, then those 5 people are going to really be able to kind of control the direction of what we're doing and some of the content if we want to try to do live stuff. So a lot of fun stuff. Anyway, I'll end the video there. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.